Hello and welcome everyone to a new video here on my channel. I hope you're gonna like this one. I know I played this multiple times, but always when there's a new set, this is one of my decks I want to try out. And yeah, it's Doom Foretold. We tried many different cards on stream. Some sticked, some didn't. And this is the version we're gonna have this time. I think it's a deck that's pretty strong. I'm not sure where I should put it. I think around tier 2. I still think this deck can win almost any matchup if tuned well. And yeah, I like this kind of deck and hopefully you're gonna enjoy it as well. Okay, let's have a look at this Doom Foretold deck with some new Strixhaven cards. And before I dive into this, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Doom Foretold. And as always, I'm gonna try a Doom Foretold deck with the new set. On stream, we tried multiple cards in this deck as well that didn't make it here right now. One of them is Paolo, 3 mana Elite Spellbinder. I tried the card, it never felt the way I wanted it to be. Sure, it's nice to bounce with Yorion, but in the end it was not there. So I cut the card. Another card that I tried to make work, could be in the sideboard with more testing, is the 3 mana Vampire, where you can choose to draw a card, lose a life, create a 1/1 pest, or exile a card from a graveyard. This card could definitely be in the sideboard, since it's also a good way to exile the card. But right now Rogues is around, so I still think having Cling is a bit stronger in that regard. Also, we have another way to exile cards in the main board, and this is why we go with this. As you all know, Doom Foretold resolves around the card Doom Foretold. 4 mana enchantment here. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, the player sacrifices non-land, non-token permanent. If the player can't, they discard a card, they lose 2 life, you draw a card, you gain 2 life, you create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance, and then you sacrifice Doom Foretold. So with this main mechanic in the deck, we try to have many permanents that we can sacrifice to Doom Foretold. So we're gonna have a way that they always have to sacrifice and go to a point where we lock them. And whenever they play something, they have to sacrifice it, or we just remove it and they have to discard the card if we want to trigger Doom Foretold. That's the main idea of this deck. And yeah, this is also a deck that can go like 50% against almost every deck. And the one card I included from the new set was Vanishing Verse, which is a 2 mana instant spell, and you can exile target monocolor permanent. So this card replaced the spot of some acts and eliminates. 2 mana instant, and you can exile target monocolor permanent is amazing. So against mono white aggro and against mono red aggro, this is definitely a huge upgrade. Being able to exile the 3/1 card, being able to play around the dock is really strong. Being able to exile an annex is really strong. You can even exile equipments like the Maul, or you can exile a potential Embercleave. The only downside to this card is you cannot really use this card on their Faceless Haven, right? So this is the downside of this card, but for that specific reason, I think we're gonna play for Lithoform Blight, which is a 2 mana enchant land. When Lithoform Blight ends the battlefield, draw a card. So this basically replaces a 2 mana draw effect. That's a permanent, and on top of that, the land that was enchanted loses all land types and abilities, and has add 1 colorless or pay 1 life, and you can add 1 mana of any color. This shuts down Faceless Haven. So due to the adding of 4 Vanishing Verse, I would say we need 4 Lithoform Blight for that specific reason, and I think it works out really well. It's always nice to have permanents due to Doom, right? So I think this is definitely the right place. And another card for removal that is not a permanent is Heartless Act, 2 mana. Choose 1, destroy target creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. This is still nice in case you play against, let's say, Ultimatum, and they try to go for Vorinclex combo. They have to play the Vorinclex first, so you can actually remove it, and then they just get a Planeswalk, which is something you can easily deal with, right? And other than that, it's still probably the better removal spell. There are cards it doesn't hit, like Poly K, or just some henge creatures. Against mono green, it's maybe a bit weaker, but I still think it's a really good card, and I think you want to have that sweet spot of 6 spot removals in the deck. Let's have a look at the other 2 mana cards. We have 2 negates here. 2 mana counter target non-creature spell. and Disdainful Stroke, 2 mana, counter target spell of mana value 4 or greater. 1 of Chivar Disruption, another counter here, unless they pay 1, and it's a land as well. Yeah, and yeah, it's a Yorion deck, as you can see. I mean, I should have mentioned it, but yeah, you definitely see it. 80 cards. And we play also Omen of the Sea, which is blinkable with Yorion, and it's a permanent. It's 2 mana flash. When Omen of the Sea enters the battlefield, scry 2, then draw a card. And yeah, sacrifice Omen of the Sea, scry 2. Classic. We have the 1 of Cling to Dust in the main. It's good against rogues. It works against Croxa decks. And late game, this can be a really powerful spell, as you're going to see in the game. You can draw so many cards with this. 1 mana, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, you gain 3 life. Otherwise, you draw a card, escape 4, exile 5. Really powerful late game, and always want to have this as a one-off in my decks right now. Then we go to the 3 slot. We have 2 Omen of the Sun. 3 mana, flash. When Omen of the Sun enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white human soldier creatures, and you get 2 life. You can also sacrifice this Omen and scry 2. Omen of the Sun is a really tricky card. It's not great. It was never great against the old Gruul decks, but it's still okay against some aggressive decks. You can still blink it, you can still scry with it, and you can still use it for a Doom Foretold. I think it's kind of nice to have at least a certain amount of 3 drops permanent, and this is why I went for 2 Omen of the Sun here. We also have 4 Elspeth Nightmare, 3 mana, destroy target creature and opponent controls with power 2 or less. First step, it's a saga. Second one, you can look at opponent's hand and make them discard a non-creature, non-land card. You get information, you can get rid of counter. And on the third step, exile target opponent's graveyard. So this is a really, really versatile card. It can be still okay against potential ultimatum decks because it's a delayed duress. On the play better though. But yeah, it can hit many creatures as well. Hits Advil Innkeeper, hits many cheap creatures, tokens, so I still like this card and I want to have it as a 4-off. Also against rogues, it's still not bad. Then here, Treacherous Blessing as a 3-off. Maybe this could be a 4-off. I went for a 3-off right now, but I can definitely see one more. But we're going to talk about this in the outro as usual. So when Treacherous Blessing enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose a life. And when Treacherous Blessing becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. So it's really nice. 3 mana, draw 3 card is really good, right? Especially we can sacrifice it to Doom Foretold, which makes this even better. So have a look at the 4 drops. Besides Doom Foretold, we play 4 Binding the Old Gods. This is just the better ECD because it costs 4 mana and it ramps us. We can destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls, so this is really powerful, right? We can search your library for a forest card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. You play many triumphs, so we have multiple options there. And create creatures you control again. Creatures you control again, death touch at hit end of turn. This is minor, but it's still nice to use this. And obviously all the permanents we have here are blinkable with Yorion. We play 4 Extinction Events, 4 mana, choose odd or even. Exile each creature with mana value of the chosen quality, 0 is even. We need some board vibes. I went for the 4 Extinction Events here. Still think this is really good against the adventure decks. Sometimes you want to have a Verdict, that's why you put one in the sideboard, but I do like the Extinction Event here. Then we have 2 Archon of Sun's Grace, more ways to win the game, and this is also really powerful against aggro decks. So 4 mana, 3/4, flying lifelink. Pegasus creatures you control have lifelink and has Constellation. Whenever enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white Pegasus creature token with flying. Yeah. This is really powerful. We have a lot of enchantment, as you can see. And then we have here Yorion, 5 mana, 4/5, flying, legendary creature, Bird Serpent, as you know, it's the same here. Comes in the battlefield, you can choose the permanents, put them out of the game until end of turn, they come back. And yeah, small mechanic, you can play Yorion, blink the old Yorion out, and you get 2 Yorion triggers. This is just something really little. And obviously it works also well with Archon to blink your enchantment. 2 Amiri's Call here as an extra land, 7 mana, create 2 4/4 white Angel Warrior creature tokens with flying, and non-angel creature you control get indestructible. It's still a good card and better than drawing a land in the end of the game. The mana base is like this. Here I would say I kept the mana base quite close to the one Upumpa had with Andrea Mengucci. Again, always shout out to them. They are great players and they definitely know how to build this deck. I got the list from Upumpa. It looks different to mine. I wanted to try my version here. This is it. Let's have a look to the sideboard. We have Cling to Dust extra here, just really to have those more escape cards against the rogue matchup. Because we play 80 cards, we want to have a bit more of them. To the rest here, they have some hand hate to look at their hands. To Glass Casket, I still think this is kind of nice with Yorion. It's obviously with Doom can be a bit awkward, but it's still 2 mana exile card, and there are many cards we cannot destroy, so we want to have another removal spell. Then we have Disdainful Stroke. It's good against a dragon, it's good against multiple other cards as well, so you definitely want to have a counter here. 2 Test of Talents here, a new card from Strixhaven, 2 mana, counter target instant sorcery spell, search its controller's graveyard, hand and library for any number, cards with the same name as that spell, and exile them. That's really good. So that's really good. I mean, against Ultimatum, we definitely want to play that card, and that player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand. It's still worth it, right? They don't get any value out of it, and you get rid of like big spells. But again, it's only an instant sorcerer, which is a bit dangerous sometimes. And we played against a deck who played this, and they couldn't really use that efficiently, since we have a lot of enchantments. 2 Mystical Disputes here, 3 mana, instant counter. It costs 2 less if you target a blue spell, and it's just a counter that's really strong, and usually there to win counter wars or to be able to resolve something. Then 2 more Archon here against the aggressive decks, really strong. 1 Polukranos, you can also play this main, but yeah, 4 mana, 6/6, super strong creature with escape that can fight stuff. Yeah, good against rogues. And if we need this card against aggro, it's also not too bad. And the 1 of Shadow's Verdict, this was my flex spot. 5 mana, sorcery, exile all creature and planeswalker with mana value 3 or less from the battlefield, and all creature and planeswalker cards with mana value 3 or less from all graveyards. So, as I said, this deck is kind of even against most of the decks. I do like this playstyle. I know Doom is an older card, it's an Eldraine card, but I mean, come on. At least this is not the complete Eldraine tribal deck. It definitely has the core mechanic of Doom Foretold, and I totally forgot the main card, Dance of the Manse, 2 mana and X, return up to X target artifact and or non-aura enchantment cards. Each of mana costs value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If X is 6 or more, those permanents are 4/4 creatures, in addition to the other hand type. So this is basically our ultimatum here, right, to just get the cards back, get some super value, because getting multiple Dooms, removal, draws, and so on is so powerful, and this is basically our ultimatum in this deck, and can win you the game on spot. Yeah, if you like the deck, and I know many of you do, since I like it, no joke, but yeah, feel free to subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment, like the video, check me out on twitch.tv DanyTLaw. I love building decks for you guys, and all the comments are so nice, so I'm super happy to see you guys supporting this and my journey to becoming a full-time content creator, especially here on the YouTube side, since I'm still a small little YouTuber, but I have so much fun doing this, and hopefully you continue. So yeah, enjoy the games. Rico X, hello. Let's hope you don't play Boros. And yeah, classic keep, Yorion on the other side. Most likely Sultai Ultimatum, so this is going to be a longer game here, but that's totally fine. Omen can help us find the important cards against this type of deck, so we are going for it. So we're gonna do the Omen here first. There are disputes obviously, but it doesn't matter too much since we do not have an answer on anything on their turn 2. The only thing they could play is the 1/1 Dark, but we still can deal with that one later on. And yeah, we do take both lands here. Want to make sure that we have something, and play this tapped. Gonna go for the enchantment there. And yeah, Yorion also really good. Now we're looking for the 5th land here. And here we go, find the 5th land, which is definitely really nice. I think in this case scenario, we gonna start with the Omen. Found another Yorion, which we definitely gonna play on curve. Vanishing Verse is okay-ish, but I would say we just have a look and find a counter, right? Yeah. they don't usually play a creature next turn. Can find a black, but I think we go with the Triumph here and try to deploy a Yorion next turn. They're still on 3 lands, so that works out. They could play Cultivate here and try to ramp, but Yorion with double Omen is usually really strong. It forces a counter on their side most of the time. So this is double blue. We can play this as green, and this is white or black, which I think is better. Nope. And here they could have a counter. They play Negates main, so the only counter they usually have here is Disdainful Stroke. Some do main them. It's an 80 card stack, so we have to throw it in. Vanishing Verse. Okay. So we get some draws here. Definitely make sure that you bounce that one there too. It's something that you can definitely overlook. Gonna scry first. We want to have the counter here. And another land, and we pass the turn. So now with counter up, we feel way more safe to play the game. There's an Heartless Act. We kind of expected them to use those spells here. Definitely going for Yorion here. Do we actually do that? Tricky. I think we want... We would have to discard a card here, which will be the Extinction Event. We play for Extinction Event game 1, so I don't think we need it too much. Going to get a land here. They are missing lands here, which is really good for us. Just trying to hit those lands and make sure they have a harder time. I'm gonna scry. Cycle here. Yeah. Getting a flash, a spell that has flash is really nice. And here we just pass again. Playing an Omen, having counter and Heartless Act up. That's quite funny. Well, that card is gone. Sure. Vanishing Verse is a cool card. I think they play actually the same deck as we do. So having Omen here is really good. There's the negate. I think we want to negate this negate here. It's the best pressure card we have. If we get 2 counters out, we can play Yorion. 2 counters out, okay, we accept this. This was a good trade for us here. And we're going for the Yorion here as well. Obviously, would like to bounce more. We cannot do that, but we're definitely going to bounce this Omen here. Play the lands, and we pass the turn. Still having our Heartless Acts on our hand. Doom is still a good card. The card itself makes them discard, and we get a card. So if we play a mirror match, which is kind of rare, we will definitely gonna do that. Finding another land here. Going for the attack here. Okay. I think we're gonna throw a Doom into the field here. And we pass the turn. I have no problem scrying here next turn, and yeah, sure, that is fine. So our Omen will be there, so if they play Yorion, I mean, still good. It's fine. Yeah, we take 2. This time we will not scry. We're just gonna sacrifice this. Draw a card. We found another land here, which is not what we usually want. But it is what it is. And we go for a black source. I'm at this point thinking that we go double Doom here. And hope to find some cards. There's a negate coming out. Just to make sure, we're going to play the binding here. A really interesting thing, 3 negates main. It's definitely more an interesting side. Here we just want to make sure that we have the Doom out in case they have another Omen. And here is the Omen. And with that, we finish our turn. There's a lot of 1/1s going on, and we definitely just need to find some cards here. We do take the damage, which is still fine. And we pass the turn again. So this time it doesn't seem like they have something to flash in. It's good, we found an Omen here, definitely on the strong side. Having another counter here also helps. Now with a blocker we also can do more. There's another stop again. We do not want them. We do not like this either, that's great. We definitely have way more draws and looks as opponent. I think Jivari is fine though, but let's go with an extra draw. And that seems good to me too. Let's play the Elspeth Nightmare here. Get rid of one of those. Then we attack and use the Heartless Act on one of the tokens. So we still have Heartless Act plus negate up. And with that we pass the turn. I mean, we're clearly ahead in lands, but we need to find something of value. Which means like Dance to the Manse is pretty strong with negate up. They come to a point where they have to start playing the Yorion, I think. That is fine. Okay, not the best card, which is attack and pass. I mean, Extinction Event is okay-ish against the Yorion, technically. That is a card we cannot let them have. So this card can swing the game again, so we hope we find it first. We already dealt with one. Okay. Not really cool. We had to try it. Definitely want to make sure this one goes away, and we pass the turn. Having only 2 removal spells, and we have 3 bindings in here and 2 dances, so there's a lot of hits we can have. Definitely more than opponent. Since we managed to have more land as well. That's a really good card. So we're gonna get rid of the Blessing here. Okay. I'll play this one. And we pass the turn. Okay, found a land, get a token, I have to discard. We have 2 draws here as well. It's a decent card. I found an answer to this. So I'm gonna cycle this one. Okay, use this. And we get rid of this one. And we make sure we get rid of our non-enchantments here, which we have a lot. Start drawing the cards here with the one of Kling. Really powerful in this spot. This is the card we were looking for. So I'm going to play the Blessing here. And this is the moment where you usually just take over the game. We cannot play the Sun yet. This is an interesting spot. I feel like we just take another one. Could have done this before, but we didn't draw the way I wanted to. Gate. Okay. And I think with that we pass the turn, and next turn we can start playing Archon and enchantments. Obviously there's still board wipes in the hand, so I could have dropped this first. Also because of the dance, but we took away all the enchantments. That's totally fine. Could have done, honestly, we could have done that post blink, so that's my mistake, and they would have taken 1 damage. Yeah. So we got the blink there, which is fine. Found the dance, which is usually GG. Just gonna put some stuff on the board, and with that we pass the turn. Next turn we have a good dance with the Manse. They're kind of forced to get rid of this board here. They go in with the Omen, sure. Maybe they scry first with the sacrifice here. Nope. Doesn't seem like it. They could have a Yorion here again, which makes us lose the Archon, but that's okay. We have an insane dance next turn with at least 3 Dooms. That is good. Vanishing Verse this one here, so they don't find a draw, and yeah, sadly this one will resolve. So they get a blink on the binding again. Yep. Cycle here. Okay, let's have a look. That something they should have played, and I think this is the moment where we start dancing. And this should seal the deal. Exactly. We still had a counter in hand, and now we were just looking for another counter, right, to win. Yeah, I mean, this is a tricky matchup in general, I would say. It's hard to say what you keep in and what not. You do like the Archons, you do like the Dooms. It's a really interesting matchup. The Vanishing Verse in this matchup is not great. This is actually the worst spot removal we have in this specific matchup. Omen is great, Archon is great, they need some targets. I think you can easily get rid of 1 or 2 Extinction Events. And maybe I mean, Test of Talent is fine, but it's not great. So I don't think we want that. Pulukronos, on the other hand, can pressure. And it's harder to remove spell as well. But I do like the Archon here. Their version is really interesting. They play a lot of negates. Main, like 3 negates. It's even more than we do. But it's kind of funny to face this type of deck once we just played it ourselves. Obviously we have the Mulligan and Known Lander here. There are many good cards in our hand, but if you cannot play them, you cannot play them, right? They're really interesting here too. That's a good hand. So usually get rid of negate. Yeah, we do want to have all the cards in the game for our Doom. That is for sure. I think I'm going to start off with the Blight here. If they want to counter this, it's fine. But we definitely want to make sure we go to Doom territory. And with that we pass. I could take Yorion here on hand, but I'm really forced to play Omen. That turn 4 is usually nothing. So I think this is actually a good counter. This is the so if they have counters on hand, this counter is actually decent. Okay. Gonna pass again. I'm gonna do this now because of the scry reasons. Take a blue here. Okay, yeah, we take all the lands we can get here. And with that we passed. So Yorion is so powerful here that they have to make sure that Yorion will not survive. They can never let us blink this. But I do think like we can push in one Doom here and force a counter. While still having a counter up. This is at best draw a card, they lose a card. So yeah, I think we're cool with this. Therefore make sure there are some counters gone. They found a land. Since we have a land, we can easily do this here. Another one. I think we just go for Mirror's Collie and go for white. This usually has to be countered. If they don't counter this, they need event, and usually there are not too many events anymore. So here we found another counter. I think it was the correct choice to counter Omen of the Sun here. Now we tapped out, but it's a good play by opponent there. They could flash in cards, so I want to make sure I got this one here. And now we know they do not have a counterspell. At least not 1 for 2. No count on their hand, so Yorion goes in. Getting the card value, getting an extra land from our deck. I still can't keep them as cycle here, I think. We take another binding, so we have a definitely deal on Yorion, and we can double spell next turn with the Doom. Okay. Getting more and more lands. I think this is the moment where we cycle one. And it's going to be this one. That's a good draw. Okay, I think this is fine. We're going to cycle our land here. Try to play Yorion again. They found another counter, which is a bit sad. Seems like they didn't. Which gives us 2 more draws. It is really important to have a critical mass on permanence to have good Doom plays. Well, this is both a take for sure. And we're winning on the card advantage front right now. We still manage to hit the land every turn as well. So I think the balance of card draw and the interaction is still good. A bit better than on their side. Okay, that's an Omen. So our Doom clearly gets weaker now. It's interesting that they do not. It's really interesting. So we're gonna attack here. Cycle, okay. Okay. Gonna get rid of the Omen of the Sea. And we also play Doom here. So they lose all the blinks. Well, they get one more blink now. But it's a really strong turn. We make a strong board, and we still have insane card draw value in our hand. So now we make them just having a hard time on the board. Since we can still sacrifice our binding if we have to. Oh, just go with the Yorion, but the double blink is also just insane. Right now I think the best sacrifice is the Lithoform. Because we want to keep the binding and then we just blink everything multiple times. We also have a really strong aggro plan on the other hand. It's a strong one. So now we have to consider what do we get rid of. We still have flyers, so we can try to go for the fly way. Obviously we're going to get rid of this and of Omen here. And Doom. Okay, so their triggers first. This resolves you. This resolves you. Resolves you. Okay. It's pretty simple what we're gonna do here. I don't care too much about the sacrifice there. Get another round. And yeah, this looks, I mean, our board state looks clearly stronger. We have a huge flying army, and this is thanks to Archon here. We have an end of turn Heartless Act as well. So they tend to need an Extinction Event for even, but they lose their boards too. Just has to go through. Negated a Girard Disruption here. Still have a lot of power on the board, so they need an Extinction Event. I think you cannot win without one here, or stay alive. So yeah, well, the mirror goes always long, but I think it was still a good game. And yeah, let's go for another one. XZH Nightmare, the Prince Mario logo over there. Yeah, let's keep. That's a keep. We have a not fast curve here, but Archon can help you come back from aggro situations, so does Binding. So we kind of okay with that. Interesting. Okay. Cthulhu's Fury usually seen in Naya. Okay. It's great to take Yorion here when they do nothing since you have Binding. So that is a huge thumbs up from our side. Oh wow, it's actually the list we covered with Evilster, huh? That's the way it looks. You have the Croxa. It's kind of awkward. Yeah, so it is actually that one. Sure. It's not too much removal spell main, as far as I remember. So we throw in an Archon, and as soon as possible we want to see Elspeth Nightmare. I mean, we have a way to deal with Croxus anyways. Blue! Okay, I did not expect blue here. I did not expect blue, guys. So this could be a counter. There's a stop. This is such a weak card, it's kind of awkward if you counter it, right? But it's still good enough. We missed a land here. We go for some pressure. They have 5 mana. A Crone War. Okay. Well, the Binding is not as good now, but it's still okay. There shouldn't be a way to answer this. Oh, Village Rights. Okay. Well, that's on us, I guess. But they would have tapped differently, right? Village Rights really good here. So this is also an Ubelster list. I'm pretty sure this is a list he would play. So they're one of Croxa here. They could play Croxa here. We get rid of Croxa for sure. Okay. Still not easy. That's an interesting list over there. They're gonna steal a lot of our things, huh? This is most likely getting countered. Or they just play Croxa next turn, which gives us the Extinction Event moment. But they have something up, which is also not great. I think actually I go with Archon here. Okay. This thing did damage so far. Okay, they have access to Croxa now. So it's not easy. It's not easy. I wish I could have Yorion this, but they know. Okay, Croxa with count up is pretty strong. It's definitely strong. This card doesn't help us anymore. I know they have a counter. They have even more counters. With Grixis control, okay. So it's clearly just full Grixis control here. It's gonna be hard with that many counters and us missing lands. That instantly resolved. Okay. So it seems like they have an extra turn. If they get extra turn out of this, it's going to be painful. We definitely discard Vanishing Verse. It seems like it does nothing here. Have to eat this a lot. I mean, you counter this, I think. Because then I get in trouble. Yeah, now I get in trouble, huh? Okay, we have to get rid of Extinction Event. Going on 3 with a Blessing up is not good. Don't really have outs. This brings me on 1. Okay, we lost this one. I totally misinterpreted opponent's deck, and this is what got me the most here. Control. It is a control list. Cling clearly in. Painful Stroke. In. We can play one Duress. We'll need to win. We need to win the counter wars, right? The Vanishing Verse is awkward. They have literally 1 hit. Okay, we just slammed this in to get a counter out. We definitely like Omen, it's a good pressure tool. Go one less here, I think. Okay, it seems like it's the Grixis controllers I used to play as well, but that's a while ago. So really cool to see this list. Really cool. Always cool to see new lists. As you know, I'm a fan of this. So we learn while watching. Yep. Test of Talent is kind of useless. Okay. I mean, it's so much easier to play against the deck when you know what it is. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Sometimes they're just good. Okay. I don't want to play this. I just go off by the logic they didn't draw a counter there. That can deal with this. It's not always good to do this, but I need to find more cards here. I don't have a second white as well, and I have a Heartless Act, but I have counters now, so that's at least something. Do not tap out at all. Could use Cling. I couldn't do that on reaction. That's kind of awkward. But I think they're missing lands. I am completely willing to do this here. If they want to test this, I don't mind. Because I will Yorion. Yeah, that's totally fine. I think Yorion value here is just way better. Probably Atlanta. This is 4 damage each turn if they don't care about it. 5 cards in the graveyard. Okay. Gonna play the Elspeth Nightmare here. Really hard card to deal with for opponent. They have to deal with the Yorion here, otherwise it's too much damage. They cannot outrace the situation. still don't want them to draw more cards here, because I think their hand is bad. Still have a Disdainful Stroke for their potential. I don't think they play it anymore though. I don't think they play Orchrone War. It's a possibility, but just don't think so. Okay, that's a counter. Test of Talent, a dragon. Okay. Still cannot play this. I should have played that one. Bit of a yikes here from my side, to be honest. But Yorion is still pressuring a lot, and not a lot. Enough. Sure. Oh wow, I take this. Oh wow, I take this. Tapping out over there. Respect that. Still wish... This is a huge card, yeah. I still wish I had a second white here, but... Okay, now we kind of know what we're up against, right? It's way easier on your head if you know what's going on. Test of Talent, I think, is not a good card in this matchup. Elspeth Nightmare is honestly also not good. But it still deals with that graveyard at some point, and we can get a counter, so it's kind of good enough, I guess. I think we run it back. I was thinking of playing a Casket or a potential third Archon here, but you don't want to dilute the deck too much in that direction, I think. It's not a meta deck we play against here, so it's quite hard to get the right feeling. I like the counters here. Okay, so we lose probably the Blessing now. We still have a really good hand. Especially Omen and Blessing is good. That's a really good hand. This is a discard buck. I don't even know what to say. It's always the same. Okay. Okay. So having Omen here is really good. They can think of trying to Prismari again. Which is reasonable. I think I'm actually cool with this time. I think Omen in that turn is just way better. I mean, it gives them a ramp though. From that point of view, we could have thought about it. Okay. This is not cool. This was not cool. Hoping to find a land here. That was really important. We have to dispute up, and I don't think they have dispute plus another counter. So getting this one in is super important. Finding lands is also really great here. If we hit every turn a land, I think this is in our hand, but you know, Croxa can be a bit of a tricky card sometimes. But it's definitely important to hit the lands, especially in a control matchup. Okay. So there was a Behold. You just keep. Okay. This is painful. It's actually really painful. The Omen is just so good here. Maybe I really have to get rid of a land here. That was a hot one. That was a top deck. And we obviously counter this. Okay, I think I'm cool with an Omen here, because I think they are obligated to play Woe Strider at this point because of my Cling, which gives me a good target for the binding, and having Omen already. Oh, they're not, huh? Really happy that this Omen resolved here. It's a really important card, actually. Gives me a bit pressure, gives me life, protects me. So they have no blue now. Good to know. Good to know. Getting rid of the War Strider here with another Cling. And now we can Cling again, but we lose a Cling. Kind of awkward. Just get a Yorion here. Attack. And we have so much value now that I think we cannot lose this from this point. It's a good card. If they have a count, it's a really good card. But usually they don't, huh? They have to negate, so they play Test of Talents, which doesn't hit it, and they play Disputes, so the only card they can have that hits this one is Negate. Or Disdainful Stroke, so that was powerful. Okay, sure. I mean, gonna lose the Doom here. Cling is not even, I mean I can use Cling, but it's not even that useful. That's annoying. If they have a way to get rid of my Yorion here as well, powerful, powerful stuff. I have the feeling the way they play this, they have a counter for my Kling, but not for my Yorion. I'm pretty sure about this actually. So I don't mind losing the Klings here. I'd rather draw more cards here. And I can see them playing Crocs. I think the last card of their hand is another talent. Another test of talent, so that's fine by me. Obviously they can replay, but this is what it is. So just going in, we have to keep the pathway in our hand so we can discard it. Because there's another Croxa coming in. I just have the high feeling that the last card is a counter that doesn't hit the Yorion. Otherwise I would have played 100% the Kling. That's a good card. So we're gonna see if they have the card we just mentioned, which I kind of feel they have. Oh, it's a negate. Okay, that could be as well. Could be true as well. So we take that 3 damage on their attack, but there's nothing you can change about it. We're gonna scry, obviously. So they are in the top deck mode now. We at least have scry. And we can block 2 Croxa attacks. Seems to be in a bit of a better spot. Not in a perfect spot, but in a better spot. Seems good to me. That's a removal spell. Let's get some more cards. I mean, it is a race, and I have the Blessing in, which is not optimal. This is not optimal. But Doom Foretold here is a really good card. Especially too. They didn't play any sign of all the cards here. So if they replay Croxa, we discard Stroke and play another Doom. should be lethal now. Did it. Hard game, guys. Hard game. Especially game 1 where I had no clue what's going on. But I think we had 2 really good games with the deck. And yeah, hopefully try it. Let's go to the outro. Okay. We had some really cool games. And I did not expect to walk into a mirror match. with even more negates than I have in the main. And yeah, probably wrong negate outright. They had the better one. But I still think the deck performed really well. We had 2 long games. The second game I completely misjudged the deck because it's been a while since I Grixis control, and I think it's a strong deck. I still think it's a strong deck. It's super fun to play, for me at least. I like to play permanents, draw cards, think about certain lines, and yeah, the only thing I could see is maybe having 4 blessings here. Not sure about the Omen of the Suns, and maybe 1 more counter main, but that's about it. Sideboard wise, I'm kind of happy with it. It's still really hard to say. I didn't do it perfect with the numbers. If I would prepare this for a tournament, I would go a bit more in depth. But yeah, I had a lot of fun, and hopefully you had fun as well. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, have fun, and that's the most important part. See you guys next time.